Hi, I'm Kevin Hill, and today we're going to do another fun painting, so let's get started. Now, as you can see, I have a pretty basic sketch on the canvas. I just decided to start out that way today because we're doing something a little bit different. I think we're going to do maybe like a very wet jungle area with a waterfall and a lot of different things happening. So, I'm going to take my 1-inch brush right through a little bit of white and blue, touchy yellow ochre, not much, just to kind of give it a warmth. It won't really turn it green if you put just the tiniest bit. And I'm going to drop in our sky today. There we go, the sky is done. That was pretty simple. Now I'll just mix, using the same brush, mix up some soft colors, soft greens, blues, brown. Let's see what this does for us. There, just stick a little bit of softness back here, like some distant trees that are growing. Maybe even a little bit of black into it to turn it into a gray. There. Let that blend down a bit. Now I'm just throwing in a basic area here, kind of starting the waterfall. Not really doing anything, but just brushing a little bit of blue color down on here. In fact, it's that sky blue color, basically. I'm just kind of getting us started. Now I'll set that brush down, pick up a filbert brush, load it up with some yellow and white. And maybe, let's see, maybe kind of right here. I'm going to start and drag down lightly, and release. Now let me show you the brush there. See, I picked up the tiniest little bit of paint, but not much. Reload it again. Let me try it again. Be careful or this will become muddy. And your sun rays need to kind of all come off from a single point. These are just background sun. Oops. Picked up a little too much there. Flip it around, the other side is clean. Wipe out the brush. And just continue this process. If you press very lightly, you get the texture of the canvas showing through it in areas where there's not much paint. Better reload. So anyway, that's how you paint sun rays over wet paint. Very easy. In fact, I took a paper towel here. I just dusted this area off with a paper towel before I started, so make this work a lot better. There, I'm going to brighten this area at the top. Nice. Smooth that one in a little. Ooh, it can go down over the waterfall. We may highlight over it and we may lose it, so not too much of that. There. Careful, don't get that muddy color in the painting. Too much. Now with our 1-inch, I'm going to just block in some beautiful cliffs up here. And obviously these cliffs are going to hold back that waterfall, so they're quite important. I'm going to sort of bring them back like this and melt them into this green color. Now we're kind of going to have to be very careful in certain areas of this painting because you can't paint in every leaf. So I quickly did a scrubbing green color over here. Very, very subtle green, yellow, touch of brown in it, some white, and it was very loose. And I did that over there too, slightly darker over there. And the reason for that is I'm going to paint over this, but leave the textures in there, and it'll look like leaves where you didn't paint any. Background, distant things, and that's the only way we're going to be able to get this painting done. You cannot paint everything in. It just is not going to work. Number one, it'd probably be too busy, and number two, you'd be here all day. So those are the reasons. Melt that right back in there. Good. Soft edges back here. While we're going, let's go ahead and let's see about highlighting something over here. I'm gonna grab my filbert, of course, and some yellow, white, red. Yellow, white, and green. There's no red in there. And let's just pick out a couple of bushes and just begin to highlight. Allow a little bit of that light just to sparkle around, not too much. Up here, you can create a bush where you didn't have much of an underpainting, I don't care. Doesn't need to be overly high contrast back there. We can get away with it in the background, is what I'm trying to say. There. You may cover up these or change them, that's fine. With a painting with this many steps in it, you have to start somewhere and then adjust it later if you need to. But you just got to get in there and start. There. Next, we'll take our 1-inch brush, through a little bit of black, touch of brown, some blue, and then white to lighten it up so we can see what we have. There. I'm going to use this to paint in these rock cliffs over here. Now, I got to say, this has been a little bit tricky for me because I want to go in here and I want to finish up this area. I want to highlight it really bad, but I'm not going to. Instead, I feel like it would be smarter to go ahead and block in most of this painting, get everything set up, and then go back and add our highlights. As much fun as it would be to highlight right now. There we go. Now with our filbert brush and a nice soft light gray color, let's go ahead and let's just shape our cliffs here. This is sort of the initial shaping. We don't need to go crazy here because this is going to get a couple other colors on top, maybe some darks and lights. We'll see. And we may not even do it now. We'll figure it out here in a second. There. For now, I'm just putting in this gray color to kind of figure out my shapes, get an idea where I'm going, and to give it its first little highlight color. There. Pretty nice, and it should slip back into shadow over here. This won't be as bright. There. I've got trees and things over here, so I don't even care about that area so much. I like the idea of having it sloped over here. This is kind of make it look like the waters came rushing through here at one point. So that's kind of interesting. Next, with our 1-inch brush, I'll go right through a little bit of blue and white. And I think right in through this area, quite a bit. We're going to paint a little area of mist, actually quite a bit of mist. It's going to be a lot today. So I'll just drag this color in and around, and maybe a little more blue. I'm adding blue slowly because I don't want to go, let me show you. I don't want to go too much blue. Maybe something like this. Let's try this. But I don't want to be too crazy with the blue. I also don't want to be too light. Don't want to be too pale, so kind of keep that in mind as you're painting here. Now we'll load up the 3/4-inch brush with a little bit of blue and white. And with this color, let's go ahead and maybe we'll start right here and begin to work in just a bit of what looks like water. Don't want much, just a tiny bit. And it's going to flow, maybe it flows around the rock and around, maybe these are like little ferns, or kind of like a wetland area there. And then it kind of comes forward, and there we go. You can kind of do this slowly. I'm going to skip down and do a little area here. There, see how it's kind of waterfalls? Nice. And down here, definitely want a bit. Now we'll just use our 3/4 brush to drop on a little highlight out to the top of this rock. This is like a bonus highlight, a little extra. Maybe there's a bit right here, you can do that. And the light's kind of coming through the middle today of the painting, so this side's going to be not so strong, but over here is going to have a lot of light. Let's see, maybe right here. Just drop a little bit of this right out on it. Don't press too hard, because if you press too hard, it'll all just mix together. There, I like it. You can build up the highlight as bright as you want to go, as long as you limit the amount of paint underneath. There. And let's think about something up here. Maybe these rocks need a little extra. Maybe this is some dirt, I don't know. Maybe this is like a washed out area. There. Next, with our 3/4 brush, I'm going to work on some of the dark areas here in this painting. Now, as you recall, we've been pretty loose about blocking everything in. So now I'm going to come back and kind of tighten up a little bit here and put in the darks where I didn't have them. So I'm going to kind of reshape these rocks a little with dark, nothing but black here. Black, and we can throw a little green into it, that's fine. Black and a little green, because there's a lot of moss around here. There. So you can just sort of sneak these darks carefully right back in. Reload all the time, very, very constantly reloading, because that way you have fresh dark in there. You don't pick up too much of the light colors, although there's very little paint, so we'll be all right. I'm going to work a little dark into this tree here just because it was too light for me. I think it needs to be darker. There. Maybe just a little dark. Well, you don't want to go too dark back there. We'll leave that alone for a second, but certainly a couple of darks right in here. And you can drag a little bit into the water as well if you want to. A couple of darks right here too. Create more shadow. Now I'm going to throw in just a little bit of highlight here to this waterfall. We've been waiting for this basically the entire painting. Remember, we got this waterfall in here real early, and I told you we'd be back, and here we are. Gently, barely touch the canvas. If you bend the bristles in this brush, and these bristles are not at all stiff, so if you bend them a little bit, I think it'll be just right as far as pressure goes. If you bend them a lot, then you're gonna, ooh, look at that, it's pretty bright right there. If you bend them a lot, I guarantee you're pushing way too hard. Very light. And you can actually get breaking texture if you just barely skim the surface. There. Do this slowly. Do it so slow. Now with our liner brush, I'm going to add in several, well, maybe these are ferns or some sort of a palm tree. I'm guessing this is some sort of a palm tree that's hanging into the painting. So you see it's kind of like these trees over here. Just taking my liner brush and a thinned down dark green color, and I'm just going to drop them in as if the tree is off to the side and these are sort of hanging into the painting. Isn't that neat? It didn't take too long. All right, well, I think we're done. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Don't forget to check out my website, my DVDs, and also my brush line. And thanks for watching.